Hey guys, welcome back to APM Scootering. This is scooter wiring part 3. What I'm doing is, I'm going to show you something here. Take a look at this. This is the scooter's secondary plug that goes to the starter motor ground and then the positive wire of the starter motor. So what I'm going to do here today, rather than just for time's sake and not keep everybody watching for 45 minutes for the same thing that I've been going over. I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So remember I told you, I showed you the Anderson connectors on one of the previous videos. This is U-chin, but Anderson is, they used to call them Anderson connectors. So these are watertight connectors. So what I did was, this is the new 12 volt starter wire, okay? And I actually just took the rubber off the old Bangjing starter wire and just fit it back over top. It worked pretty good, so no problems there. And then this locks in using one of these, okay? So of course there, you can mechanically crimp these or solder them. I like to solder them. And then speaking of that, I kind of got a question. Someone was asking about what it is it's called that I do on the vise, and that's called flood soldering. Some people might call it a different name. I've always known it as flood soldering. So that's when you flood your tube with solder, probably about a quarter to halfway, and then you put your wire down in it, and it actually wicks the solder up into it, and it keeps you from being able to pull that ever off. It's a super solid connection. So I try to do that with most of these. As you can see, these are crimpable with mechanical crimps. Now I keep saying mechanical crimps because a mechanical crimp is something like this crimping tool. Again, this is for wire ferrules, but there are other tools that are ratcheting that allow you to crimp 8 gauge terminals or bigger gauge terminals. I actually have a set at my shop where I work that does, up to 4 0 quad aught cable is what it's called. But for this kind of stuff, I prefer solder. It's a lot easier to do, and you're assured that it's never going to come off once it's on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the vise, and I'm going to do a 2 flood solder joints for this connector. I already have one done, so before we do that, I'll have my wife follow over to the scooter and I'll show you what progress I've made, and then I'll show you a couple other things here and we'll get to that. But these are the new 12 volt and the actual new starter motor connectors. And if you can take a look, you can look in there. Alright, so that's what it looks like when they're done, and it's a 12 volt and a ground. There's your ground, there's your 12 volt. The other side will match up and snap and make a waterproof connector. Now these things are good up to 600 volts and I believe 50 or 60 amps, which this scooter is never going to produce, I don't believe. Not with this, not with the original gauge wiring. And then I followed through, and here is, remember the original one? Crap. New one, better. Alright, so the fuse is going to go in there, and then I have a cap that snaps over top of that, and that'll protect the fuse. So that's the powers. And the reason why I didn't go through all this and show you guys all this, because it takes time, and I want to give you the gist on what it is and why I'm doing it. Why I'm doing it is for a simple person. I don't like the reason I don't like the wiring, and that leads me to this. So I pulled off some more of the wire. I'm going to show you right here. There are more of these pinch connectors, right? And then believe it or not, there were 2 random wires not even connected. They're just tied up in the harness. So as I go through, I soldered this pinch connector here. So that's the plan, is to solder all these pinch connectors just to make sure that they don't come undone, because that is a complaint with scooter wiring. And you'll also see here, you know, I'm stripping off these covers, and this is taped in Tessa tape, which will then be covered in black Tech Flex. That's what this is called, guys. This is Tech Flex. I use very small zip ties. I cannot stand the big ones unless it has to go around something big, or if I'm using large gauge wire. And I picked those up at Home Depot. I think it's that GB Electric or whatever, but just to show you, there's different sizes of Tech Flex. This is 3/8. This is, I think, 1/8. And then I actually have a smaller one because I'm going to extend this ground that was tied into the black battery cable. So this was actually tied into the black battery cable. I did not like that because that was a half-ass connection. So what I'm going to do is, I have some black, oh, here it is. I think that's it. So I have some black wire. I'm used to, man, black being ground. This whole green ground crap is completely different to me. But so I'm going to solder these together, trace it back around, and then remember I showed you this? It was an unused ground block. I don't know what. Maybe it's just because the universal frame that Zen uses for their scooters, but it's threaded. And I'm going to clean that out, and I'm going to use a special tool to get all the whatever junk's on there, and then I'm going to ground it to that, to the frame, chassis ground. So that's just some of the things I'm going to do, and then I'm actually going to strip the rest of this harness of tape, and I'm going to use what they call Tessa tape, which is, I think I mentioned it before, it's a German car tape that I use. It's vibration resistant, it's really durable tape. And I'm going to retape the harness, and then I'm going to cover it all in Tech Flex. Tech Flex is also abrasion resistant, chemical resistant, so gas, oil, that kind of stuff. Keeps your cables in good condition. Other than that, what are we going to do then? After that, we're going to get into some carburetor. I actually got my handle off. I'm going to replace the throttle tube, and we're gonna go through that. I removed all that. I removed this whole damn thing. I took it all apart. Now I'm going to show you how I get the grips off using air. I know people know that trick, but I actually kind of put it back on because I already took it off. And then I put these NCY grips on. You can see them on my wife's scooter. She'll go over and show you. They're pretty cool. I like NCY. NCY makes good stuff. You can get NCY stuff from Mike's store, NCY store. You got a lot of stuff on there. I'm sure he can get you those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prep this wire. I don't mean to jump all around, but I wanted to show you her grips because I thought they were pretty damn cool. I got a set of blue ones, so I'm going to put those on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this wire real quick and prep it for the solder. Now here's what I'm doing, right? You can see the pinch right there, and what that is that's the closing of the connector. So you don't want to strip the wire all the way back here because that's not going to work. So you kind of want to strip enough, and all I'm doing is taking this because I don't feel like getting my strippers. I don't even know if I have the right ones here anyways. So I just roll it is what I do. Just roll it. And then if it doesn't go through, I'll take a... Yeah, I broke my blade if you guys are looking at that. So what I did is I'll just take this. There you go. Now I always twist it around and I always just do a check. You know, is it too much? Is it just enough? And that's good. I'm not worried about that fray. There's 800 strands of wire in here. One strand isn't going to kill it. And I'm going to do the same with the actual connector part. for the I keep calling them, well, the Anderson connector, because that's what they are. I think I got a Chinese knockoff. Funny. So you'll see there on this one, you just go a tad shorter on it. So I just kind of push down. Don't have to go too hard. Go around it. Then I just kind of cut down the center until I can peel a piece off. Try not to get this, man, you get a fray of this crap up your fingernail. It hurts like hell. There we go. Okay, so what I'll do is twist it around, just like I did on the other one. Now just see how far down. Now if I need to go any further, I'll do it. Measure in there. That's pretty good. I don't think I want to test my luck going any further, but I will straighten it out. So you guys that are watching, I appreciate it. I know I'm not getting a ton of views, and that's okay. But I appreciate those people who are watching. Thanks a lot. If you know anybody that's like scooters, you know, tell them to watch. I'm doing this not just for me, but for other people who might want to try to do stuff themselves. Much like, again, Mike does, or Ruck Shops, a bunch of these other channels. They like to show scooter stuff. Oh yeah, Kachi's Kid. I gotta laugh. He has a video channel on YouTube. A lot of how-to people, you know, it's just helpful. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to the vice grip, and then I'm going to put this in here. I'm not going to super duper do it hard. I just need it to hold it. And then I'm going to grab some solder. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to go get my little heat thing, so I'll be right back. Hang on a second. Now here's what I'm doing. I'm actually going to bend this up like this, and I'm going to fold it over itself a few times. It's a pretty deep connector. Actually, might be enough, but let's just see. And I kind of see about stuffing it down in there. Now that's a little big, so kind of like that. Let me grab my torch. Actually, I might take this back out, turn it around the other way. Just kind of push it down if I can. There we go. So what I do is I run my torch kind of high, and I hit it at the base. Now if you pay attention, you're going to see the solder start to melt. That's my wife knocking shit over. Alright, so I'm holding it, let it cool down for a second. And then, voila. Never coming off. So I'm going to do the other side real quick for you. This one I can kind of tighten a little more. Actually, let me turn it this way. More straight up and down. Alright. So, same thing. I'm going to grab some solder. This one, probably not going to take as much. Folding it over here for you. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of squeezing it, bringing it over, folding it over itself is what I'm doing. I don't know how long that might be, but I think that's plenty. And what happens is, if you go too deep with it, the solder, and it gets to be too much, then the wiring doesn't fit in. You don't want to do that. So let's just see, I'm pushing it down. There we go. Same thing. Turn on the heater. All this is a butane power probe torch. You can buy them anywhere. Doesn't have to be power probe. Oh, look at that. Yep. Now I look down in there now. I know that it's liquid, so I got a little bit of time here. Boom. And that wicks straight up into there. And I mean wicks up into there. And there you go, guys. So that's called flood soldering. It's a great way to make a connection, and I'm telling you, it won't ever come off. To my opinion, better than mechanical crimping, though there are some pretty nasty ones out there that put some really solid crimps on. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some Tech Flex, and I'm going to show you this. So hang on, because I'm going to prep this to go into our connector. So here's the Tech Flex. I just want to get a general idea of how much I'm going to need and how much I really want to cover over it. So I'm just kind of doing some measurements here. And then the thing with Tech Flex is, I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. I'll be right back. You have to be careful with Tech Flex. There's stuff called clean cut, where you can cut it with the scissors. This is not clean cut, so the ends fray. But there's a way to combat that, and that is, I cut it, and to keep the ends from fraying, before I go to put it on, I'm going to take my heater, take a look at those little frayed ends. I'm going to take my heater, and I'm just going to kiss it. Just melted the ends. Now what that does is that keeps it from fraying. The other end is already pretty good. So how it works is, you know, you figure, how's this going to get around this? Well, this stuff, Tech Flex, it flexes like crazy. So once I get it through here, this stuff, it's just like an inchworm. You kind of go forward, pull it down, go forward, pull it back, forward, down. Forward, down. Sorry if the light keeps going on and off. I think our battery is going dead on the camera for the lighting. Alright, let's see here. Alright, then what I do is, let me look here. My carburetor out of the way, that's for another day. See if I have. I hate using this big stuff, but I might have to. Let me see. It will shrink. This is 3-to-1 shrink tube. It's really good stuff. So what I want to do is, and this is the ground, by the way, that goes on the actual starter motor on the side of the scooter. So I'm just going to cut. Or not cut, drop it. You can turn that light off, see if it... Talking to my wife, that light just keeps going crazy. I hope you guys can see still. I mean, it's pretty well lit in here, but I kind of like a lot of light when I'm doing these videos. So you see here what I'm going to do. Now on this, I'm going to use a heat gun. Tubing can burn. The flex tube, like if you put a flame directly on it, much like anything else will burn. It takes a while, but it will. So this is a Steinel heat gun. Pretty good here. I'm going to set the temperature up to 500. Yep, tested on my hand like a moron, but just going to rotate it around. Once the gun heats up pretty good, it works really well. Looky here. Not pretty. Alright, so I'm going to keep that running. Let's keep it set at 500, and then I'm going to grab the other side. And on this, I'm going to go down to here. Now the reason why I'm not going all the way up to there is it makes it easier for the connector to snap in. You don't see it anyways. It's up to me. I'd like it to go all the way up, but sometimes it can be tough to snap in. You can see I'm rotating it to make sure this actually has a glue in it. The heat shrink. Alright, so if you take a look into this end here, you'll see that the downside of this is what goes into your connector end. And if you listen, ready? Hear that? Snaps right in. Okay? Now, here's your connectors. This is your new starter ground and power connection. This is the second half of it. The other half, one goes to the battery, or to the solenoid side, and the other goes to battery ground. So, or not battery ground. Yeah, the other side does go to battery ground. So it went from this to this. So quite an improvement, I would say, but that's just me. Oh, I hate when the heat shrinks are uneven, but this is going to be covered up once I'm done. So we'll go over to the scooter and we're going to snap this in. So let's take a look here. I'll snap it in underneath here. So if you take a look, you're going to see a positive and or a negative and a positive, right? Positive, negative. See? That's all there is to that one. So instead of having that other connector, now you have this one. And then I'm basically going to trace it around. Obviously I'm going to zip tie it like the other ones once we get to that part. But this is going to come around, go to my negative side of starter cable. It's a little long, but I'm going to tie this stuff up. I'd rather it be longer than short. And that's going to connect to is it this one or the one over here? I think it connects to this. I got it. It's right here. And take a look. It's going to connect to that one. Right where that's going. Right there. Pretty cool, yeah? So, real quick, I'm going to do one more thing for you guys. I'm going to show you these solder joints here. And then I'm going to grab some solder real quick and let me see if I can fix one of these. This whole thing here, this is just, I have no idea why these are there. So, they weren't connected to anything. I'm snipping them. I have it there if you didn't need it. You know what I mean? So I got two of those pinch welds, or pinch connectors. And I'm going to try to go ahead and, I'm actually going to hang this out of the way. I don't know if it's going to stay, maybe. So I'm going to heat up my soldering iron real quick and go get some solder, and then I'll be right back. Just hearing if my soldering iron needs more butane or not. So try to go up in here and see if I can get this to heat up. Actually, let's start on this one. And there you go. Same thing here. This is 3 wires here. So what I'm doing is pushing it. If I can get it to flow up here. I know I'm getting it to flow down there, I just needed to get it up here. Yeah, there we go. Starting to go. Let's see here. Probably not the best idea here. I got some of my wires. It was kind of shitty that they did it like that. Yeah, got some insulation on the other wires. So what I'm trying to do here is get this and then I'm going to take Super 33 3M Super 33 tape and go over that junction by itself. Notice I stretch and pull. Make sure I get the other wires out of the way. Yeah. Do this one up here. Just need to get it around that joint. See that little burn mark? Gotta be careful with soldering irons. So that was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 5 junction wire harness. I don't know why they did that, but they did. Just take a look here and make sure I didn't go through any insulation. And you gotta be careful with soldering irons. I wasn't paying attention. So that was there. Now those ones are taken care of. I did this joint down here already. And then I'm gonna tape that. And that one's done, so that makes me feel a little better. I think just for security, make me feel better. I'm gonna just cover over this insulation real quick. These wires that got singed. At least the insulation did. Didn't go through, but still gotta be careful. My bad. All right. Okay guys, so that's where I'm at today right now so far. So what we did was we upgraded the main battery, the starter solenoid side, the motor side, or not the switch side, motor side actually turns the starter motor. Upgraded that. Upgraded the glass fuse with a mini ATC. I'm going to put another 15 amp back in there where it's ready to go. Next thing I got to do is I have to attach the black ground. Let's you know what, let's do that now real quick while I'm here. Let that thing heat up real quick. Gotta find my ground wire. See what I do with it. Of course, I'm going to heat up my soldering iron. Can't find the damn black ground wire. It's laying on the table over there. No. Alright. And the hell did I do with that wire? Let me see what I did with it, guys. Hang on. Oh. I got it. Alright. Set my old ass down. Alright. So, remember these, tool aid. Tool aid. Good shit right there, guys. So this was the ground that was connected to the battery ground initially. So we're not going to do that anymore. Make sure this thing's hot, should be. Just got to get the wire hot. There we go. Sucks right into it. Cheap ass insulation. Look how cheap that burns. This didn't even come close to getting hot. Okay, so that part's done, and then what I'll do, of course, like everything else, you know, you can either wrap tape around it or heat shrink it. I prefer to use heat shrink. Set it in the middle there. Let me grab a piece real quick. I'll be right back. See if this fits over it. It's really long. I don't need it to be that long. This might be too thin, but guess we'll see when we get down to the joint. Oh, this ain't gonna take much at all here. I'm turning the wire with my hand. There you go, guys. Alright, so that's our new ground. Now that actually goes back up with these wires here. So what I'm gonna do just temporarily, I'm gonna put a piece of tape on this to follow that harness, because that's where it went, and this time it's gonna go to this ground spot once I clean it up, and I'll show you that in a second. So all I'm doing is just kind of just prepping this to hold the wire in place. Alright, so just give me a second and I'll be right back. I'm back. So this is the tool I was telling you about. I use it all the time. There's different versions. What it is basically a bunch of really stiff metal bristles, and I attach it to my drill, and you just go right along here. You gotta be careful And you just go right in. Huh?
Got safety glasses.
Yeah, I'm wearing glasses, remember? Alright. I'm putting pressure on it while I'm doing it. I want to get this nice and clean. Ooh, look at that there. And my wife's shaking her head, yeah. So, there it is. You can pick these up, body shop places, Harbor Freight, I believe, even has them. Now, there's also another one that's kind of got a head on it, like almost like a cone, like a dust mop kind of. Looks like a mop, and that thing goes crazy. I like this one because the bristles are short, and it gives you, you know, other than it having a big diameter, it's still kind of pretty cool. And you just get in there, and you just watch what you're doing. You turn it on, you just kind of go over your area. Gotta watch it, it will run on you. Back and forth and back and forth. To get everything off. Now you can see it already took some of that off, which I'm not worried about. I can always cover that with some touch up. But what that'll do is I'm gonna get a washer. It's almost like there literally is an indent right there for a washer. So I'll get a lock washer, and there's threads in there, man. There is definitely threads in there. And then I'll take this black wire, make it a little long, probably put some Tech Flex on that till it reaches around here somewhere, because I'm going to redo the whole harness. So, and then I'm going to ground it right to the chassis. I mean, there's no better ground. And I know it'll be good contact. I'll just put some dialytic grease over top of the bolt or nut or whatever. I don't think I can put a big bolt on it, because I think the floor pan might sit on it, but then again, all these damn wires sit up too, so I can't see how it would get in the way. I don't know. I guess I'll see it when I get there. Alright, that about wraps it up. What I'm going to do next time is I'm hopefully going to have some time where I can show you when I'm going to Tech Flex all this all the way from here all the way up, and that should complete my neurotic side of this scooter job here. This one that I don't know why I'm doing it, but you know, like I said, not everybody, you guys don't need to do this. I actually thought about people probably thinking I'm crazy, but I just do it for my own sake. By all means, I mean, this scooter wiring wasn't too bad, but I'm telling you guys, if you have scooter problems or grounds or electrical issues, you saw what I showed you, that's crap. Those pin connectors, that's great. It's better than being a whole big glob of solder holding wires together like I've seen on other scooters. But I feel more comfortable that it's soldered and now properly taped, so when I go to put everything back together, I won't have to worry about that. At least I shouldn't. And then that wire I see goes up and it's grounded back behind this regulator, so voltage regulator. So I don't know, I'll take a look at that, but I don't think there's any problem with that. This scooter actually was put together pretty well. I'm really surprised, but I'm glad I picked the Zen model. I've read about it, and it actually had some decent stuff on it. So what are we doing next? So we'll try to finish up the wiring, and then I really wanted to get to I got a guy, like I told you, who's a carburetor guy that works directly with OKO USA. So I have a PWK carb. I know my buddy Mike just did a video on it, but I'm actually going to be on the phone with him when I'm doing this. He's going to give me some some guidelines. I believe he works directly with OKO on some of this stuff. He works on super bikes and stuff like that, even though they're fuel injected. But he works on something. I don't know the whole story. I'll let you know after I have my phone conversation with him. Really nice guy. So I'd like to do that, and then I really want to show you the LED stuff. I got some really cool LEDs, and they work great for scooters. Now this is a 2017, so not everybody's lighting and not everybody's wiring is going to be the same. They're pretty much all generically the same, but if you have any questions or comments, leave them for me. If you have any questions that you need to talk to me about, or if you want to say, hey, how do I fix this, or do you have any ideas to do something like, you know, this or that, you can reach me at apmscootering at gmail. And then soon there'll be apmscootering.com, where I'll have a lot of electrical stuff and lights. I know I keep mentioning it because I don't want people to forget it. But that'll be it for today, guys. I appreciate it. It's actually, I'm on the East Coast in the Northeast, so it's getting late and it's getting frigid out here. We're supposed to get crappy weather in the next couple days, so hopefully I'll try to film again this week once I get a little further along, and then, you know, finish up the wiring stuff, and then I'll move into, I believe I'm going to move into the carburetor and the throttle, the new throttle tube and all that stuff, and then we'll move on to the LEDs. There's a lot of stuff, and then we'll get my wife's scooter on here, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to integrate LEDs underneath it for her purple ones that she'll be able to turn on and off with her own switch. So, Purple Passion, that's what she calls it, Purple Passion. So, isn't that right?
That's right.
So, anyways, all right, guys, have a great night. It's a night for me, so I'll see you in the next few days. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day, okay? Talk to you later.